Okay, good morning, everyone. Great to be with everyone. I now call to order the meeting of the directors of the New York State Urban Development Corporation doing business as Empire State Development for Thursday, November 21st, 2019. As noted on the agenda posted to the internet, we welcome public comment on the items in our agenda. To ensure maximum opportunity for participation, speakers representing themselves may speak for up to 2 minutes each, and those representing groups may speak for up to 4 minutes each, with one speaker per group. As always, the directors have received the written material in advance and are free to ask questions at any time. I'll now ask the directors whether anyone has any potential conflict of interest with respect to any of the items on the agenda. The first item on today's agenda is the approval of the minutes of the October 17th, 2019 directors meeting. Any questions, comments, additions, or deletions to the minutes? Is there a motion to approve?
Approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any opposed? Great. I'll now ask Kevin Hansen to present an item relating to the Lake Ontario Business Resiliency Program. Kevin.
Thank you, Howard. Today, the directors are requested to authorize new ESD program guidelines to create the new Lake Ontario Business Resiliency Program at ESD. This program is being created to support Governor Cuomo's 2019 Resiliency and Economic Development Initiative, also known as READY, which was created in response to the extended pattern of flooding along the shores of Lake Ontario and the St. Lawrence River. For context, READY is a significant multi-agency initiative in which the state is committing up to $300 million to rebuild shorelines as well as improve resiliency in flood-prone regions. READY intends to address the immediate and long-term resiliency needs of these areas, while also enhancing economic development opportunities and the health of the lake, and the Lake Ontario Business Resiliency Program is intended to support READY's purpose. In addition to this new program being created at ESD, partnering state agencies are also funding a substantial amount of public projects, and the Department of Homes and Community Renewal has established a $20 million program to help impacted homeowners. For ESD's part, the Lake Ontario Business Resiliency Program will offer up to $30 million in grants to eligible private businesses, not-for-profit organizations, farms, homeowners associations, and owners of multiple rental properties who are impacted by historic high water levels and who undertake capital improvement projects designed to strengthen the resiliency of their operations against impacts from future flooding. The Lake Ontario Business Resiliency Program will make available grants that reimburse up to 50% of the costs of resiliency-related capital improvement projects undertaken by program applicants with a maximum grant award of $200,000 per project. To be eligible, applicants must be located in one of 8 counties: Niagara, Orleans, Monroe, Wayne, Cayuga, Oswego, Jefferson, or St. Lawrence counties, and have sustained damage from high water levels in the vicinity of Lake Ontario and the St. Lawrence River between January 1st and October 31st of this year. Eligible applicants who didn't sustain damage but who nonetheless have a demonstrated vulnerability to future flooding may also apply for resiliency project funding, but that assistance will be subject to available funds. Just a note, today's board action does not approve any specific projects. Following today's approval, ESD will begin accepting program applications, and any approved projects will be subject to all required project approvals at that time. And I will now take any questions you have.
Okay, any questions from directors to Kevin on this Lake Ontario flooding program? When do they open and when do they close?
So we expect them to open by the end of this week, and they will close on January 31st of 2020.
Okay. Any comments from the public on this item? Is there a motion to approve?
I just wanted to say before we approve it, this is a project that's been going on for several months and has required a lot of work, and I just want to recognize Kevin and also Kevin Eunice and others for all their hard work on this. So great going.
Thanks.
Any comments from the public? Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move.
Great. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Okay, thanks, Kevin. Eric?
Great.
President's report, thank you.
Thank you, Howard. Good to see you again in New York City. So at my first meeting as CEO, I said that I was going to visit all the regions. I'm happy to say that as of next week, when I spend time in Utica with the Regional Development Council, I'll have visited every region, met with our regional councils, and all I can say now that having traveled across New York and been to many cities and towns that I had never visited, I'm thankful for two things. First of all, I'm thankful to GPS because I would be lost everywhere, and I'm really thankful to the great dedicated team that we have here. And as I see some of the great projects we have, it's really a function of all the hard work that all of you do, and it really is extraordinary to see how involved this agency is in so many parts of the state. So I thank all of you, and I recognize fully that the work that I can do is really a function of all the work that all of you do. Last week, I announced a new employee recognition awards program that we will do every several months here. I just wanted to again recognize those awardees. So for those that missed it, Stephanie Sue from the marketing department won the Energy Award for bringing positive energy to her work every day. Nicole Stanton, Amanda Ward won the Excellence Award for their great work on the MWBE Forum. Mark Reynolds, the Execution Award for bringing the Cree semiconductor manufacturing plant to Marcy. I think, Mark, you were out of town. You were actually out of the country.
I was in Munich.
Yeah, exactly.
Selling.
Skiing,
Good.
did you say?
Mark won a coffee mug because coffee is for closers, based on the movie. Lauren Merkel for her wonderful work on multiple projects, including the Governor's Trade Mission, and again on the entire Belmont redevelopment project team for all their work and really for strapping on their seatbelts on a roller coaster up and down ride to getting that completed. And that was the Excelsior Award for personifying all the characteristics. So great work, and I'm pleased to recognize all of you again at this board meeting. Some of the things that have happened in the last month. We had a number of the downtown revitalization initiatives announced, including in Potsdam, downtown Staten Island, Schenectady, Seneca Falls, and Utica, each of those communities getting $10 million. And I also want to thank Howard for helping to award some of those programs. So thank you for doing it. It's always fun giving away $10 million. I also want to thank all the regional teams who have done, I think at this point, we've completed all the SIAT presentations, and I know there was a lot of work involved with that, which was led by Secretary of State Rosado. So thank you for that work. And as Kevin said, yesterday, in fact, I was in Albany for the Ready Commission Implementation Conference. It did not focus as much on the business application program, but as Kevin noted, that will be announced, where applications will be open as of tomorrow, and appreciate all the hard work there. And then, of course, we hosted the 4th Pitch New York event that brought together diverse voices in the entertainment industry and filmmakers, aspiring filmmakers and producers. Before I wrap up, I just want to recognize and highlight a few other pieces of good news and accomplishments around the region. I've certainly mentioned the Cree announcement yesterday. Earlier this week, I had a meeting with the CEO of Cree, who told me that he has been so pleased with the outpouring of support from ESD and the community. For him at this point, it's not just financial, it's emotional. They posted jobs. They've got 10-to-1 job applications for every job they posted. Their internship program, they plan to bring a group of interns to their main office in North Carolina to train them and then bring them back, and plan to offer every one of them full-time jobs. They've been well received by the community, so that's been pretty amazing. Western New York, several exciting announcements. Construction began on the Buffalo Heritage Carousel project. The governor announced $10 million for 2 signature features at the Ralph C. Wilson Centennial Park. In New York, we had the opening of Henry Street Settlement. Long Island, we had an announcement at Cold Spring Harbor where we gave away $25 million, or a grant of $25 million for a new center for therapeutics research. We also announced the opening of the new Cybersecurity Innovation and Research Center at Hofstra University. The point being is we are, and it's become clear, makes the work we do so important, so exciting. We are involved in such diverse work in so many corners of this state. It's just a realization, again, of the important work that all of you, all of us do. So thank you.
Great. Thanks for that excellent report. Eric, and thanks for being out all across the state. It means a lot to the team and the regional councils that you're being there. So thank you for that. I know it's no easy task, the logistics of all that. We're going to proceed to the project items, but Edwin is going to give us a quick summary of the projects before we get started. Edwin?
Thank you. Good morning. The directors will be considering 14 projects today, totaling over $510 million in grants. The projects include 9 regional council awards and 6 discretionary awards, and will take place in the Western New York, Central New York, North Country, Southern Tier, Mid-Hudson, Mohawk Valley, and Capital regions. Leverage over $568 million of additional investment, retain 718 jobs, and create 688 jobs in the state. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Edwin. We'll now move to the project section and kick it off in Western New York with Amanda Mays. Amanda?
Good morning. Our first project for Lactalis American, the directors are requested to approve a $632,712 grant from the Empire State Economic Development Fund to Lactalis American Group, Inc., for a portion of construction and renovation costs and the purchase of machinery and equipment associated with an upgrade of the company's facilities. The company operates in the retail, food service, and private label sectors and produces 6 types of cheeses along with organic and conventional products. Lactalis American, whose headquarters is the Buffalo facility, is part of Group Lactalis, a global group of family-owned companies headquartered in France. Other U.S. locations include facilities in Idaho, Wisconsin, California, New Hampshire, Vermont, and Arizona. The company is investing $11.1 million in the Buffalo facility to replace and upgrade a mozzarella cheese production line, which required upgrades to infrastructure, utilities, the building's floor and roof, raw material storage, and other lines to allow the new process line to be integrated. The investments allow the Buffalo facility to remain competitive with the Idaho and Wisconsin plants and keep the new investments from being made elsewhere outside of New York State. ESG funding will help to expand production capacity at the company's South Buffalo location and retain 569 full-time jobs. In addition to the grant, ESG's offer of assistance included up to $344,865 in Excelsior Jobs Program tax credits for retaining these jobs. The second project on the Western New York agenda, the directors are requested to approve a $1 million grant from the New York Works Economic Development Fund to the City of Jamestown to provide assistance with operating costs and administration for economic development projects. Working capital assistance will be provided for the city to finance administration of the Jamestown Urban Renewal Agency that provides a variety of code enforcement, housing, neighborhood renewal activities, planning and economic development services, debt service payments that were part of the financing package for the Tracy Plaza Phase 2 reconstruction project, a multi-million-dollar initiative to reconstruct the elevated plaza entrance to the Jamestown Municipal Building, and administration salaries of work performed on various economic development projects done by City of Jamestown employees. The funds will support the city's continued work on advancing its downtown Jamestown Community Development Plan that addresses the revitalization of the Central Business District. New York State has made a great deal of investments in the city in recent years, including through the 2016 Downtown Revitalization Initiative, construction of the National Comedy Center, and through projects funded by the Consolidated Funding Application through ESD and other state agencies. The project supports Western New York's smart growth strategy, investing in its historic downtowns to create attractive places to live, work, and play.
Okay, thanks, Amanda. Are there any questions or comments from directors on either of the Lactalis investment program or the Jamestown revitalization program? Any comments from the public on either of those two items? Is there a motion to approve both items?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thanks, Amanda. We have three projects from Central New York. Jim Fail.
Good morning. The first project is that the directors are being asked to approve is a $655,000 capital grant for Dumont Grains on a $5.4 million project to create 20 jobs. This project involves the building and equipping a 9,600 square foot processing building, as well as constructing 6 silos for soybeans and designing a new software system to make their facilities a more efficient process. This was a round 7 priority project for the regional council, and the project was completed in August of 2019. The next project that the directors are being asked to approve is a $1 million grant to Lemoyne College on a $6.2 million project. This is to create a quantitative reasoning center, which will contain the computer workstations, corporate classrooms and workshops, peer mentoring facilities. This is to help develop the core competencies of the 21st century for intelligence analytics. And unfortunately, our school district is only 1% of its 8th grade students meet the standards for mathematics, putting this region at a serious disadvantage. So this will help to try to overcome that. It was a round 6 priority project for the regional council, and it was completed in November of 2018. The final project is a $700,000 grant on a $2.2 million project. This was to Camelot Lodge LLC. This was a round 1 DRI project, and this was involves the restoration of the historic Cahill building, which was built back in 1828. The building has been vacant since 2008, and it involves 7 riverfront apartments and the construction of a 4,000 square foot commercial building as well. This project was completed in May of this year, and is 90% occupied.
Okay, thanks, Jim. So we have one tradable sector business expansion, one research and innovation, and one downtown revitalization project in Central New York. Are there any comments or questions for Jim on either of these 3 projects from the directors? Is there any comment from the public on any of these 3 items? Is there a motion to approve all 3 items?
Motion?
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. Okay, thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. Aaron Hines will now present a project from the North Country region. Aaron?
Good morning.
Hi.
I'll be presenting one project for the North Country today. The Village of Tupper Lake Water System Improvement is a regional council capital project. I'm seeking board approval of $1 million in grant funds to the Village of Tupper Lake for a $7.7 million project to modernize infrastructure that will enhance supply and distribution systems for public drinking water and fire flow protection. Improvements benefit numerous key tourism-related establishments, including the Wild Center, the Cross Country Ski Center, and Rabbit River Brewing. This project is especially important to Sunmount Developmental Disability Services, which is the community's largest employer as well as the largest single-site user of the water system. This is a round 5 priority project, which is now complete and is consistent with the NCREDC plan to assist in the development of community infrastructure and support of tourism as an economic driver. And that it completes my briefing.
Okay, thanks, Aaron. Any questions or comments from directors on this item, Tupper Lake? Any comments from the public? Is there a motion to approve this item?
Motion?
Thank you. A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Thank you, Aaron. Okay, in the southern tier, Donna Howell has an item. Donna?
Hi, good morning. The directors are requested to approve a grant totaling $800,000 to Beecher Emission Solution Technologies to purchase and renovate a facility for their corporate headquarters in Horseheads, which is Chemung County. Beecher is the leading manufacturer of emission control and filtering products for diesel or gasoline or natural gas and alternative fuel exhaust systems. So this investment will allow them to increase capacity to meet the continued customer demand for their products, and the project supports the growth of our advanced manufacturing sector in the region and also allows Beecher to increase efficiency and their production capacity. This is a Round 7 REDC priority project and consistent with our regional council's strategic plan to invest in our advanced manufacturing industry, and this project's now complete.
Okay, thanks, Donna. Any questions or comments from directors on this item?
Just a question for me. It says that the corporate part of the money is to be used for corporate headquarters. Where was the corporate headquarters located previously?
It was in Elmira.
Okay.
And how does the Fuse Hub grant work here, that there's a 2% Fuse Hub grant?
Oh, so that was for the training.
Okay.
Other questions or comments from directors? Any comments from the public on this? Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you, Donna. Okay, Megan Taylor's up in the Mid-Hudson. Megan?
Yep. Good morning, Howard,
Hi.
and Eric, and the rest of the board. So I have a few projects this morning. So the first one is Starkey White. So we're presenting a $2.25 million regional council capital grant, which was awarded through round 6 of the CFA process for Starkey White's expansion project in the hamlet of Congers, town of Clarkstown in Rockland County. This 129-year-old family-owned business has been innovators and industry leaders in the fields of variegate, extract, candy, and processing design. Starkey White has been producing ice cream flavors for Breyers, Borden's, Hershey, Howard Johnson's, Friendly's, Haagen-Dazs, Turkey Hill, Ben & Jerry's, and many others for over 50 years. For over 25 years, the Congers location has produced hundreds of millions of pounds of exceptional product to the food industry, and the business has grown substantially, having purchased several nearby buildings and creating a company campus in order to support the growing demand for its products. This Starkey White expansion project involves a $25.5 million investment for the build-out of a new manufacturing facility and renovation of an existing Starkey White facility in the Congers location. Significant upgrades will be made to infrastructure, technology, and equipment, making their manufacturing process more efficient and position the company to meet the customers' needs and their products' demands. The result of this expansion is the retention of 118 existing jobs and creation of 21 net new jobs. The Starkey White renovations will be completed by December of this year, and currently Starkey White has 140 employees on their payroll. The project aligns very closely with the MHRADC's work strategy. Any questions on that one, or do you want me to just keep going?
Keep going, Megan.
Okay. So the next one is Iron Workers Local 417 Training and Educational Capital Project. So this is a $300,000 Regional Council capital grant from Round 6 for the Iron Workers Local 417 Training and Education Center, which will expand its training and education facility located in the town in Walk Hill, which is the town of Newburgh in Orange County. Local 417 was chartered back in 1927 by the International Association of Bridge Structural, Ornamental, and Reinforcing Ironworkers. Their members perform all phases of ironworking, including structural, rebar, ornamental, and reinforcing. The Local 417's apprentices are trained in every aspect of these specialties, and in the Hudson Valley, typical ironworker projects include the construction of 2 to 5 story buildings, road and bridge work, fencing, decking, curtain wall installation, security, windows, and rigging. Currently, Local 417 has approximately 400 members and over 600 signatory contractors, and their jurisdiction includes the counties of Dutchess, Orange, Putnam, Rockland, Sullivan, and Ulster. So because Iron Workers Local 417 is the only training facility in the Mid-Hudson region and it's limited in its current training space, Iron Workers Local 417 had to expand their training and education center by building a 2-story wing expansion with classroom space, smartboard technology, and an indoor working crane. This $1.6 million expansion would add an additional 6,000 square feet to the existing 8,000 square foot facility currently on site. It will also add training capacity and will enable Local 417 to train 75 apprentices over the next 5 years in order to meet the construction needs of the vastly increasing infrastructure projects across the region. As of October 2019, this project is complete with 45 apprentices in training, and Iron Workers Local 417 is planning a ribbon cutting for late fall. Well, it'll be either by the end of the year or early next year. And the project aligns very closely with the Regional Council's work and live strategies, as it is creating not only a pipeline of skilled workers in the iron building trade, but also these workers contribute to the building the very necessary infrastructure projects that make the region more business ready. The next one is Drowned Labs Brewery Capital. So this is a $390,000 Regional Council capital grant from Round 7 for Craftify's Drowned Lands Brewery in the town of Warwick in Orange County. So Craftify LLC is a small batch grassroots farm microbrewing company founded by Michael Cree, in 2014. The company's initial brew business, Pine Island Brewery, built in 2015 in Pine Island, store, quickly outgrew its small 1,500 square foot building due to its popularity and award-winning beers. To meet excess demand, the company was forced to outsource its production to other breweries, which has significant disadvantages such as higher production costs, decreased quality control, and limitations to product offerings. To allow for continued growth of the business, Craftify will invest $2.8 million to purchase and renovate the vacant, neglected 9,400 square foot administrative building located on 1.5 acres at the former Mid-Orange Correctional Facility in Warwick, New York. The vacant building will be transformed into a 10-barrel production brew house, allowing for production to be brought in-house with several additional amenities that will allow the brew house to host a variety of events while expanding production. 15 jobs are set to be created. The Mid-Orange Correctional Facility was an all-male facility, medium security prison, and was closed in 2011. And this Craftify project has really been a catalyst for redevelopment and repurposing of the site overall. Today, the Craftify project is approximately 65% complete, with a projected opening of May 2020. There's currently 1 FTE employed, which is the head brewer, with an additional 14 FTEs to be added within the next 5 years. The project closely aligns with the MHREDC's play and work strategies, as Craftify is creating a location that promotes tourism, creating jobs, and supports our regional economic cluster program of food and beverage manufacturing supply chain.
Okay,
And lastly,
go on.
Sorry. And then lastly, is the Mount St. Mary College Capital Project. So this is a $500,000 Regional Council capital grant from Round 7 for Mount St. Mary College's capital project located in the distressed city of Newburgh in Orange County. Mount St. Mary College was founded back in 1959 and is an independent college located in the heart of the city of Newburgh. The college provides a liberal arts education, serving approximately 2,500 undergraduate and graduate students and more than 1,200 through community education programs. Mount St. Mary College invested $3.8 million to expand and enhance their schools of nursing and business and make significant improvements to various athletic fields. The renovations undertaken have really improved the campus and then has allowed the college to continue community education programs, which are very much needed in the distressed area of the city of Newburgh. As of October of 2019, this project is complete, and this project is complete, and the athletic fields and renovated spaces are operational and being utilized daily. The project aligns closely with the Regional Council's work strategy, as Mount St. Mary College is creating a pipeline of students, preparing them to enter the workforce, specifically in nursing, which is in high demand in the region. And the project also aligns with the New York State's opportunity agenda by building local economies in distressed areas such as the city of Newburgh. And I'd be happy to answer any questions on any of those.
Okay, thanks, Megan. 4 items that Megan presented. Are there any questions or comments from directors on either of these 4 regional council projects in the Mid-Hudson?
Just a clarification on Craftify. I think you're requesting 390. There's actually two grants. There's 390 and 150 for a total of 540. The 150, I think, is a New York Market grant. It's a different grant. Do we need to approve the second grant as well?
I think maybe.
Eric, I believe it's under the 250, so that only requires CEO approval. But
Okay.
I could be wrong in that. But you are correct. It is a $390,000 capital grant through the regional council, and then a separate 150 Market New York grant as well.
Got it.
We would take Market New York under a different line, wouldn't we?
I think we're seeking.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We did the materials together as one project, 2 grants, one set of materials.
Yeah, so board approval of both
Okay.
items.
Okay.
At this point. Typically, something under 250 doesn't necessarily.
Got it.
But
Okay.
in this case,
For
yeah,
part of the project, it's
and they're both listed in the materials. The materials are represented as 540.
5, okay.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from directors on either of these 4 items?
And on Star K, you had me at ice cream, so I'm fine there.
All right.
They have fantastic products, and I hope all of you will try at some point. They really do. It's delicious.
Okay, any other questions or comments from directors? Any comments from the public on any of these 4 items? Is there a motion to approve all 4?
Motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Great. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thanks, Megan.
No
Okay,
problem.
Mark Reynolds is here from the Mohawk Valley region in person. Hi, Mark, welcome. And he has one high-profile item. Mark, take it away.
Thank you, Howard. Thank you, Eric, and directors. The directors are being asked to approve a grant of $500 million to support the construction of Cree Incorporated's $1 billion, 200-millimeter silicon carbide power electronics manufacturing fab in Marcy, New York. Marcy is a suburb of Utica. This investment will create 614 direct Cree jobs, 3,600 direct construction jobs, about 1,200 indirect semiconductor jobs, a $4.3 billion economic impact, and it's important to the state's broader semiconductor industry, in particular the power electronics sector. Cree will make use of the Power Electronics Manufacturing Consortium toolset and cleanroom in Albany for 2 years under a rental agreement with SUNY Poly, where they will transition their current state-of-the-art 6-inch diameter silicon carbide wafer processing technology to 8-inch diameter, the first in the world. Cree invented the silicon carbide wafer in 1987 and is the dominant supplier of silicon carbide to themselves, not only themselves, but to their competitors, with a 50% market share. Once they transition this technology to 8 inches, they will move the technology and the tools to the fab being simultaneously built in Marcy, New York, and commence production on 8-inch wafers in 2021, probably the summer or fall of 2021. This grant is in accordance with the Mohawk Valley Regional Economic Development Council's plan for STEM-intensive businesses. Cree will co-invest in joint research and development with SUNY, and will produce about $30 million of research and development, a minimum of $30 million research and development over the term of this project. Cree is an interesting company. It started in the LED lighting business and spent 30-some years leading that industry with the first blue LED. If you remember your primary colors, when you add blue and yellow and green and I don't remember them, red, you can make white light. And so red and the green LEDs had been previously developed. And when they developed the blue LED, they were able to help us all enjoy LED TV screens and flat screen monitors and such. That industry has been commoditized by mostly Asian production. 2 years ago, they made a major pivot away from lighting. They sold their lighting business to Ideal Industries, and it's completely focused on the semiconductor industry. We heard about this, their investment in going to 8 inches in May, and moved quickly to make sure that New York had a seat at the table in those discussions. And we're successful in convincing them not to invest in North Carolina, but to invest in New York. I'll take any questions.
I'm just going to, piggyback on Eric's comments earlier and just say congratulations to the whole team for really, this is an amazing accomplishment. It's nothing short of an amazing accomplishment for everyone who has worked on, advancing. As you all know, we inherited some of these projects and some of the challenges of some of the projects from SUNY Poly. We inherited this initiative in large part after the AMS withdrawal from some years ago. Mark and others have literally, traveled to multiple continents looking for opportunity for Utica. The chances of the most current, most modern semiconductor chip plant being built in Utica, New York, of all the places in the world. This is a global industry. These plants are built in China, they're built in Taiwan, they're built in Europe, they're built in the Southeast, they're built on the West Coast, and they're built in upstate New York. And, it's no small feat to have that plant come to Utica, New York, of all the places that it could have gone in the world. And, it's a testimony to, frankly, the governor's commitment to invest the infrastructure that he did on that site when we had no certainty of ever landing, in truth, a semiconductor plant to that facility. But he went ahead and committed again another $100 million so that we shortened the amount of time it took from the time a company said they wanted to build a plant and the time that they could open the plant. And I think that was wise in hindsight, because that was one of the competitive advantages, certainly among other competitors in Western Europe and the U.S., because we were able to tell companies, look, you could literally be operating in a couple of years, which is unusual when you think about, SECRA, infrastructure, water, power, sewer, on and on. So the governor's been committed to this for years, literally, always made the right decisions, I think, along the way, and put Utica in a position to win, and we did win. And it takes a ton of work. You build a lot of confidence with companies like Cree. A lot of the research that the state committed to over the years on silicon carbide was important here. The synergy with Global Foundries and the entire supply chain in the semiconductor industry is important here. The presence of companies like Danfoss and Quad C that we had landed a couple of years ago was significant here. They can see the synergy of that. So we have the research, we have the supply chain, we're investing in the workforce, we had the infrastructure, and at the end of the day, all of that alone doesn't, guarantee you. What we had was the people. We had the people that, made it happen. So I just don't think we should let opportunities like this come and go with a simple vote. It is worth noting that the most modern semiconductor plant to be built in the world is being built right outside of Utica, New York, and I think we should recognize that. Okay. Any other comments or questions from directors? Any comments from the public? Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, passed. Congratulations, Mark.
Thank you.
Simone will present the Restore New York Communities item for our consideration. Simone?
Thank you. We are seeking director's approval for 2 Restore New York grants. The The first item is a $631,000 Round 5 grant to the City of Cohoes in the Capital Region for renovations to a vacant two-story building to create a mixed-use commercial and residential development. The 9,400 square foot building has been vacant for 5 years and previously housed a medical practice. The first floor of the building has been redeveloped into commercial space for a cafe and a dance studio that are now both open. The first floor contains 8 micro apartments that range in size from 300 square feet to 550 square feet. The project was complete in October 2019 at a cost of $977,630. The second item is a $500,000 Round 4 grant to the City of Ogdensburg in the North Country region for demolition and environmental remediation of 2 blighted buildings on Lafayette and Main Streets. This project, which was completed in June 2019 at a cost of approximately $564,000, included asbestos abatement in accordance with the city's Brownfield Opportunity Area Plan of August 2016. The city also completed access improvements to the sidewalks within the target area adjacent to 17 Main Street. And I can take any questions on those.
Okay, any questions or comments from directors to Simone on any of these Restore New York, either of these two Restore New York grants? Any comments from the public on either of these grants? Is there a motion to approve both grants?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. Okay, Simone, keep going with the discretionary consent calendar. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be seeking director's approval for 2 non-discretionary awards. The first item is a $670,000 Assembly-sponsored Local Assistance Award to the Research Foundation of SUNY Stony Brook. The grant will support activities related to attaining National Cancer Institute designation for the Stony Brook Cancer Center. The grant funds will support key recruitments in leadership positions that will allow for the expansion of the Cancer Prevention and Control Program, community outreach and engagement activities, as well as the further development of both clinical and basic research programs. This project is expected to run until June 2021. The second item is a $5 million award to Trudeau Institute, Inc., a world-renowned center for immunological research, to support a 5-year strategy for the formation and execution of multiple partnerships in infectious disease translation research and development. The funds will be used for operations and staffing costs of the Trudeau's biomedical research laboratories in furtherance of developing a network of alliances with major medical research universities, inventors, and entrepreneurs, along with biopharma companies and the federal government, particularly the Department of Defense and Health and Human Services. And this project is expected to run through December 2023. That's all.
Okay, great. Thanks, Simone. Any questions or comments from directors on either of these 2 non-discretionary consent calendar items? Any comments from the public on either of these 2 items? Is there a motion to approve both items?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you, Simone.
Thanks.
Okay, we have 2 Innovation Venture Capital Fund items that will be presented by Momo B and Pravina. Momo, you're going to kick it off?
Yes. We're asking up to $1 million in seed safe investment into Block Power. Block Power is a minority-led software platform that uses machine learning, IoT data, and structured finance to retrofit energy-wasting buildings into renewable energy and energy-efficient buildings at scale in underserved market segments. Buildings represent about 30% of U.S. greenhouse gas. 5 million mid-sized commercial and residential buildings in America's urban core are energy-wasting health hazards that strain utility grids, make people sick through lead, indoor air pollution, and asbestos. 100 U.S. cities are legally committed to 100% green energy. The New York State Governor has signed the Climate and Community Protection Act, which is a legally binding legislative act to achieve 85% reduction in greenhouse gas emission by 2050 and a goal of net zero. Retrofitting old buildings will decrease greenhouse gas emission, but it's very expensive and difficult to do at scale, especially for low and middle income communities. So through the installation of IoT sensors and combining the data with machine learning, Block Power has built a technology platform with proprietary targeting algorithm to replace expensive and inaccurate work with the ability to produce accurate assessment and project management. The software and financing facilities will provide low-income areas workforce development opportunities, construction jobs, and access to building retrofit at scale to reduce energy bills and achieve 2 to 7% reduction in greenhouse emissions in the next 2 to 3 years at a 10 to 50% of the traditional cost. In order to fund its activities over the next 12 to 18 months, Block Power is raising up to $5 million in seed-safe financing. We're asking for $1 million investment into this round, with the balance being provided by private sector investors led by Kapor Capital, a private social impact-focused venture capital fund based in Oakland, California. Co-investors will include Andreessen Horowitz, Laura Power Jobs, Schmitz Family Foundation, Urbanus, and AmFam. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, we'll maybe after Pravina, we'll see if there's any questions on either of the items.
Good morning. The board is being asked to approve a $363,854 investment in an up to $4 million bridge financing round for Curator. Curator is an existing portfolio company based in New York City that operates a mobile data platform for healthcare industry that enables enterprise-wide care transition notifications, which means you can get encrypted SMS messages to your phone about your clinical workflow and also your about each patient's care. Curator is at an inflection point in its history. The company has succeeded growing revenue in its original product, but due to the feeds, the ADT feeds, and the further cost of to accelerate the growth of the company, they've invested in a new product called Med360. Med360 actually provides a full profile of a patient's medication history, so that when they go into an urgent care or into a emergency room, doctors and pharmacists can see this to make sure that the patient is taken care of. But in addition, that if they're a repeat patient that always comes in, that they're actually adhering to their medication. One of the biggest costs to the healthcare system is patients that don't actually adhere to their medication and then end up getting other medication that interferes. So they have gone into trial for this with several of the biggest hospital systems, and in fact, they're doing one with Mount Sinai currently and Montefiore. They need additional capital for 12 to 18 months, which is what this bridge financing is for. All the existing investors will be participating, and we are being asked to provide our pro rata share of $363,854. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, great. Any questions or comments from directors on either of these two venture items?
I had a question on Block Power. I mean, first of all, the syndicate of co-investors is phenomenal. I mean, what a great group of investors. I'm not familiar with the SAFE, which, it's a simple agreement for future equity. Is it a type of convertible note that that is discounted to a next round? How does that? I understand it's sort of just the ease of doing it, but how do you evaluate the at what valuation you put the money into?
It's very similar to a convertible note, but with more simple, less complicated terms. Yeah. So we are going in with the same terms of the rest of the investment syndicate, yep. Which is at about somewhere between 20 million to 25 million cap, depending on the size of the round, and then at a 20% discount.
To the future round after that?
For a future round of equity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other questions or comments from directors on either of these two items? Any comments from the public on either of these? Is there a motion to approve both items?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank both of you for that. All right, what do we have next? Kevin, you got a summary of the admin items?
Yeah, I got a pretty lengthy list this morning.
Yeah.
Good morning, directors. I will be presenting 5 items for your consideration. As I have in the past, I will present a brief overview, and we will also have the relevant subject matter experts available either in the room or on the phone if you have further questions. The first item that I would relates to a request for approval to enter into a contract with SOSV New York for a $25 million contract over a 5.5-year period to provide bio-accelerator services. SOSV will provide an estimated 118 early-stage life science companies with a comprehensive entrepreneurial training curriculum, venture capital funding, access to lab space for the duration of the program, and connection to investors and mentors. The selection of SOSV was the result of a competitive procurement. SOSV runs similar programs in San Francisco and London, and also runs several non-life science accelerators in New York City. The SOSV Bio Accelerator in New York will additionally leverage a minimum of $67 million in additional investments in the participating companies. The second item that I would ask your approval of is a request to enter into a 12-month contract not to exceed $266,000 with CGS Architects to provide business planning and concept design services for improvements at the Broadway Market on Buffalo's East Side. Third item is a request to authorize an extension of a contract with legal contract with Brian Cave until January 2022 in connection with the Belmont Park redevelopment civic and land use improvement project. The original contract with Brian Cave was for a term of 1 year in the amount of $500,000. The fourth item is a request for authorization to enter into a contract with Dell for renewal of Microsoft Dynamics systems, software, and licenses under a 3-year Microsoft Enterprise Agreement for just over $1 million. Microsoft Dynamics is ESD's primary project management database and houses project-by-project information related to ESD's loans, grants, and tax credit programs. The fifth and final item is a request to authorize the corporation to enter into an agreement with the Office of General Services for the transfer and disposition of the Orange Residential Center. The Orange Residential Center is a former youth facility owned by ESD to secure bonds, but occupied and operated by the Office of Children and Family Services. OGS has been authorized to acquire ORC and will convey the facility to the City of Middletown, which will be obligated to utilize the former residential center for park and recreational purposes. I'm available for any questions.
Okay, great. Thanks, Kevin. Are there any questions or comments from directors on either of these 5 administrative items? Are there any comments from the public on any of these 5 items? Before we move to a vote on these items, I just want to report that we have received a letter from the Deputy Mayor of Floral Park on the legal services item that Kevin summarized. We shared copies with the directors present, and the letter will be part of the record. Is there a motion to approve these 5 admin items?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Okay, the remaining item on today's agenda was provided to the directors for their information. There's no vote required. There's no further business. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Thank you all for a good and efficient meeting.
Great work.
Excellent. Thank you.